Welcome back to the Ranch It Up Radio Show, the most information packed into a 30-minute program that you can find at your All Things Ranching newscast, and so glad to be hanging out with y'all. Questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, rants, it doesn't matter. You can call or text. That phone number is 707-RANCH-20. That is 707-726-2420. Our email, ranchitupshow@gmail.com, and prowling around social media at Ranch It Up Show. Is it too early to think about calving, spring calving anyways? I know that's hard to maybe think that way with calves being shipped right now and marketing bred heifers and cows and obviously getting ready for the holiday season. But as we have said for years, setting your cows up for success. And one of those ways is to reduce or virtually eliminate scours in the calves. We've talked many times about Farmatan from Imogene Ingredients becoming more and more popular. It falls in that category that we call offering solutions to problems here on the Ranch It Up Radio Show. Paul Mitchell, come on in. Let's talk about getting Farmatan into the cow's diet 90 days prior to calving. You know, we've talked many different times, Paul, of all these different scenarios of having Farmatan in the diet. Let's just talk the cow side. You know, we talk about pre-calving, we talk about pre-breeding, we talk about having it in the diet prior to those stressful times in a cow's life, right? And it seems like so many times when we have a conversation, I hear from guys, gosh, I'm behind the 8 ball. I should have been doing it here, should have been doing it there. So really, I mean, the best time to just start is to start. And I wanted to get a hold of you. I know here we are in the fall time of the year, we're talking about fall runs, but before you know it, winter is going to be on us. Guys are going to be calving. And if they're having a problem with scours or have had a problem with scours, it's now is the time to start getting Farmatan in the diet, because you're going to be having those residual positive effects regardless of what that stressful time in that cow's life is.
I was with our technical leader from Europe here this last week, and he made a comment about when a cow calves, she's basically has an open wound. She's created a wound in her body, and so it's incredibly stressful period for a cow to go through that calving process. And so by definition, the immune system's under huge stress. And then we know about ketosis, and we know about, that negative energy thing, that can happen when a cow goes off feed before she calves, and then does she have the energy to kind of come out of that transition period. And that all goes back to immune status before she calves. So the sooner you can get it into her, the better her immune function begin to function, take Clostridia out of her system, get the inflammation out of her system, try and get the cocci and crypto and other numbers reduced in her manure. So there'll be great positives for the calf, but there'll be excellent positives for her. And we can see in our dairy studies and all the dairies that we have on Farmatan, very good. Even 3 weeks before calving, we'll see an increase in colostrum, and we'll see about a between 12 and 15% consistent increase of antibodies in the colostrum. And so that's all coming from the immune system of the cow. If she's not feeling well, she's going to have pretty poor quality colostrum and not much of it. If she's feeling well, if she's feeling good, then she wants to produce a good quality colostrum for that calf. So you're absolutely right. Farmatan is not magic. It does a couple of things really well. It binds with protein and helps slow down the degradation of protein in the rumen, so you're not getting as much ammonia and inflammation in the body. And it also is a high antioxidant, so it complements the likes of vitamin E and selenium and manganese that are in the mineral, and it improves the uptake of those. So there's two main things that it does over and over and over in the cow to multiply what you're trying to do, what the producer is putting in front of her with that mineral. Now it can't counteract terrible feed, it can't counteract lack of feed, but if you're doing the basics right, it's going to help you get over the line in terms of that cow's immune status, and then that tees her up for a good recovery after calving, good milk production, and then ultimately good breed back. And with the national cow numbers the way they are, every cow that's open is a problem. So
Hmm.
let's get them bred back, and let's make sure that she's teed up right for the next gestation.
When prices are depressed, it's really easy for us to sit and have conversations and about changing management, right? Or when we have a train wreck, but those are all reactive versus proactive types of scenarios. And it's really
Right.
easy when that happens to say, okay, we need to address this and we need to look at those things. When you have prices being so darn good, it starts to, in my opinion, come down to really managing risk. And like you said, every single cow that's out there is she's a premium right now.
Mm-hmm.
And every single open one is a detriment. And talk about setting those cows up for success, because especially with the projections that we're seeing, that 2026 could be another good year for feeder cattle prices, for fat cattle prices, that the rebuilding of any cow herd is extremely, extremely slow. So now, I mean, those cows are so darn valuable going through the long term of their lives and of what they are as a factory on that ranch. So have you had kind of pushback from guys where when it's so darn exciting right now, they aren't even thinking about this. They're thinking about selling calves, and they're looking at prices. Have
Mm-hmm.
you had people be open to, no, we need to start be thinking about calving in February and March already?
Oh, I think that when we started this with Farmatan going back 7, 8 years ago, at that time we'd say, look, if you can save, if you have a death loss of 5 or 6%, if you can drop that down to 2% or 3%, you're going to more than pay for the program. Well, that's when prices were back at the prices they were at. I mean, at today's prices, you're looking at, if you can save 1% difference just on death loss. That doesn't have anything to do with the cows, and any other benefits that we've discussed. Just on pure, can you get that calf outright? Can you get that calf, keep them alive for as long as you can? If you can prevent those early first 3, 4 weeks of scours, it used to be that you'd have to save quite a few calves to pay for anything new you put in your mineral. Now, if you can save a couple, you've paid for it. And so
Absolutely.
it actually becomes a kind of a simpler thing. The other thing that I remember, had a gentleman with about 980 cows, and he was reordering. He called, and I said, "Why are you on the program? Why are you doing this?" And he said, "Paul, number one, I got more calves alive than I've ever had before. But number two," he said, "I couldn't grow without adding a bunch of help in the past." He said, I can keep adding cow numbers now." He said, "I don't have to have a whole bunch of guys chasing cows and calves because of problems." So he goes, "It's letting me expand without having to have as much manual work treating sick calves and pulling them, etc." So, there's big advantages for a big operator, but it's the same principle whether you got 10 cows or 1,000. It's the same principle.
It has been a crawl, walk, run scenario for the crew with Farmatan, just a few of you, and you have literally grown case by case, outfit by outfit. And they all the producers say this, once that they're on the program, they would never go without it again. And the key is to keep the cows on that program, keep it going, kind of a regiment, just like us. Drink more and more water and keep drinking more water. They say, get on the program and stay on the program.
You're absolutely right. Consistency is kind of the key to it, but it is a basic ingredient. However, it's got over 100 years of research. It's not a new thing. It's new to, relatively new in this market, but it's been in Europe and where it comes from. And Melania Trump's hometown in Slovenia, they've had this ingredient there for generations. And then when you begin to look at U.S. universities, they've all done some papers on it. But its mode of action is unique in that it goes down, it directly creates a kind of a layer on the intestine, because it has an affinity to the proteins on the surface of that intestine, and you get this mucus response. So you're creating this physical type barrier, but it's permeable, so it allows nutrients through, but it's sticky, and it's not allowing a lot of the pathogens to make their way and get embedded in that animal. And so there's a really unique mode of action with it. it is what it is. We make it available to people. We explain it, and if it works for their operation, great. It is available in the likes of salt blocks. C90 now does a great salt block with it. Have done for a couple of years. Ridley make mineral blocks with it in there. And as I said, most of the tub makers will make they either have it in their lineup, or they'll make a custom mix for a guy, so you can go through tubs. And then for like calves, it pellets excellently. It comes out of a high heat process, so it's excellent to go into a pelleted feed for creep feed, and it can be fed with or without rumensin. If a guy wants to keep rumensin in his program, it works in a different mode of action, so it'll complement that, no problem. And then we've got lots of folks that are on all natural or ABF type programs, and they see good success with it. So just simplest thing is get a hold of us and tell us about what you're dealing with, and we come up with a way of doing it.
Paul Mitchell with Imogene Ingredients, the distributor for Farmatan. You can check out farmatanusa.com for more information, or you can call Paul directly at 515-745-1639. That's 515-745-1639. And they have a long list of producers using the product and are more than happy to get you in contact with them to hear how it's working with their particular operations. Now, coming up, market reports, how you can get some Ranch It Up gear, and more of the cow stuff when we come back right here on the Ranch It Up Radio Show.